Hello, friends, and welcome back to Speaking from the Heart podcast. This is a place where we gather in spirit, rooted in Christian faith, so that we can reflect and renew and reconnect with what really matters in our lives. I'm glad that you're here today. I'm Richard Fontenay, and in this episode, we're drawing inspiration from Leonard Cohen's hauntingly beautiful lyric, "There's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in." Now, what does it mean for us as Christians to embrace the cracks, the flaws, the imperfections, the messy bits that are included in our lives? Whether that's in our work, our relationships, our leadership style, and even in our own souls. First, let's talk about the beauty of the broken. Imperfection is uncontrollable. We're often taught to polish, to perform, to perfect, especially in business and in leadership. But the gospel turns that on its head. Leonard Cohen's lyric is a spiritual insight wrapped in poetry. It echoes something ancient and true. Our broken places aren't failures. They are invitations. Invitations for what, though? Invitations for light, for grace, and for the divine within us. Now, Brené Brown captures this beautifully. Here's a quote from her. Quote, "It is in the process of embracing our imperfections that we find our truest gifts: courage, compassion, and connection." End of quote. So let's unpack those words in the context of our everyday lives. Courage. Courage in business might look like admitting when we don't know something, or admitting when we're wrong, or making a bold move despite uncertainty. Compassion shows up when we stop demanding perfection from our team, from our clients, or from ourselves. And connection depends on the letting go of the pretense that we may have and show up as our authentic selves. Now, these aren't just feel-good ideas. They're operational principles and can be embedded in what we do and how we relate. Now, if you want to lead well, or love well, or live well, you've got to let the cracks show. Therese of Lisieux, often called the Little Flower, lived her life believing that small, imperfect acts of love were just as pleasing to God as grand gestures. She didn't try to be a spiritual giant. She trusted that even her littleness was enough. Theresa reminds us, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be faithful. In business, that could mean making decisions with integrity, even if they're not flashy. In family life, it might mean showing up with patience, even when you're tired and pretty frayed out. Theresa embraced her limitations and trusted God to work through them. And that's good news for all of us. So what did Jesus say about perfection? Well, in Matthew chapter 5, he said, quote, "Be perfect, therefore, as your heavenly Father is perfect." End of quote. Now, this is a pretty intimidating statement, right? But the Greek word used here is telelos, or teleos, and it's better translated as complete or wholehearted. Now, Jesus isn't telling us to be flawless like God. He's calling us to a mature love. Now, God is perfect, but we're not. And that's the point. We need grace, we need community, and we need the example of Jesus as he walks about and listens to us in our hearts. Richard Rohr drives this home. He says in one of his weekly meditations, quote, "Perfection is not the elimination of imperfection as we think. Divine perfection is, in fact, the ability to recognize, forgive, and include imperfection, just as God does with all of us." End of quote. So how do we bring all of this together? Well, in business, we can cultivate a culture of honesty and growth. We can share mistakes, celebrate learning, allow people to be human, but correct when necessary, but do so respectfully and preserving the individual's dignity. At work, we could lead with empathy, give room for people to develop, and don't wait for everything to be perfect, particularly if we are interested in taking action. Perfection, remember, is not something that we can do. It's something that's really beyond us. And in life, forgive quickly, love deeply, and let your limitations become the very places that God enters in. The crack is not the end of the story. It's where God begins his story. Now, as we come to a close, I invite you to take 5 minutes after this episode and to sit quietly and ask yourself, what word or phrase from today's message resonated with me? What touched my heart? And how can I turn this into action or insight for my business, at work, or in my life? I also suggest that you write it down and pray with it. And if you feel that you want to lead, share it with someone else. And let me know in the comments how you made out with this podcast. I appreciate hearing from you. Now, if today's message encouraged you, I invite you to subscribe and share Speaking from the Heart podcast with someone who needs a little light in their lives. Now, join us next time when we will continue with Leonard Cohen's theme of light and the crack. and take another look at this haunting lyric. We'll explore how the lyric can mean something else for Christians. I hope you can join us. Until then, may the cracks in your life be filled with light, and may your spirit find courage, compassion, and connection in unexpected ways. I'm Richard Fontenay, signing off. See you next week. Bye for now.